This vigilant
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, or should I say, good morning. It is 7:16 a.m. here on the East Coast. It is 5/31, 2026. It is a beautiful Sunday morning with a good 47 degrees here in the Tri-State West Virginia area. We are having a little bit of a show for y'all today. We are going to be bringing y'all, as you can see, we have cameras set up for y'all with the alert system on right now. We have a show for y'all today, talking about the mass scale of nuclear weapons. Since there has been, words of exchange of talks of nuclear weapons. We would like to have our community prepared for anything that could happen in the future. Things to make sure that you remember that if something does happen, that make sure that you have plenty of water, plenty of canned food, and plenty of supplies, and duct tape if necessary, and make sure that if anything does happen like that, or if we do end up getting attacked at the United States and we do end up getting invaded, so to speak, which I don't see that ever happen chance of happening. But if it does, and you get behind military lines, just make sure that you hold your position and try to survive until help can come. Or if not, just get your family out there and go in the woods and go camping for a while. But other than that, hopefully it don't come to that. But I mean, things are getting really hairy with this Ukraine and Russia situation. with Russia launching drones and labbing drones and missiles and stuff at everybody else. As y'all heard last night on the show, that we actually had a NATO country, Romania, hit by a Russian drone, and it's under investigation now, so we'll see what's going to happen. But further ado, let's get to this video that I have for y'all. It is pretty good. I hope y'all like it.
High-velocity objects rising from hostile territory. They're not aircraft. They're not satellites. They're nuclear missiles. And in that moment, the most protected human being on Earth becomes the most hunted. The instant confirmation hits, the President of the United States is no longer treated as an individual. He becomes a strategic asset. Within seconds, the United States Secret Service initiates continuity protocols, plans designed for one purpose: keep the president alive long enough to maintain command of the United States. Because if the president dies, the chain of command fractures, and that could be more dangerous than the missiles themselves. A military aide rushes forward carrying a black briefcase. You've seen it before, but now it's real. The nuclear football. Inside is not a button. It's far more complex and far more terrifying. Encrypted communication tools, strike options, authentication codes, and a small card carried separately by the president, the biscuit. Without it, nothing launches. Without it, retaliation dies. And without retaliation, deterrence collapses. Let's stop for a second. What exactly is headed toward the United States? Because this determines everything. Intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, like the RS-28 Sarmat, can travel over 18,000 kilometers per hour, carrying multiple nuclear warheads, each capable of destroying a city. Submarine-launched ballistic missiles, like the Trident II D5 used by the US, but mirrored by adversaries, can strike with almost no warning from oceans, just off the coast. And then there are hypersonic weapons like the Avangard, capable of maneuvering unpredictably at extreme speeds, making interception nearly impossible. Time to impact? 15 to 30 minutes, sometimes less. Now imagine trying to survive that. Here's the twist. The survival plan depends entirely on location, because the president is constantly moving. The White House, Air Force One, a public event, a foreign country. Each scenario triggers a completely different survival protocol. Let's break the most dangerous one. This is where things get serious, because despite its iconic image, the White House is not designed to withstand a direct nuclear strike. So what happens? The Secret Service doesn't wait. They move instantly. The president is rushed underground into the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, or PEOC, a hardened bunker beneath the White House. But here's the problem. It's not enough. The PEOC is designed for short-term survival, not for a full-scale nuclear war. So the real goal isn't to stay, it's to escape. At this point, every second matters. Why? Because once missiles are confirmed, the United States must decide whether to respond before impact. This is called launch on warning, and yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. The president may have less than 10 minutes to decide whether to unleash the most destructive weapons in human history. Weapons like the Minuteman III, sitting in underground silos across America, or submarine-based arsenals hidden beneath the oceans. But here's the terrifying part. Once launched, they cannot be recalled. Picture this, a screen showing incoming trajectories, and a simple question. Mr. President, do you confirm retaliation? No second chances, no undo button. Just a decision that could end civilization. Whether a launch is ordered or not, one thing is certain. The president must disappear. Fast. Helicopters are already spinning up on the South Lawn. Marine One lifts off within minutes, escorted by decoys and armed aircraft. Destination? Classified, but likely one of two options: a hardened underground facility or something far more mobile. If time allows, the president is transferred to a Boeing E-4B. This is not a normal aircraft, it's a doomsday plane, designed to survive electromagnetic pulses, nuclear shockwaves, and the collapse of ground infrastructure. Inside, it becomes a flying command center, capable of controlling U.S. nuclear forces even if the ground is destroyed. Think about that. Even if cities vanish, command still exists. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. If the attack is too fast or too close, escape may not be possible. So what then? The president relies on layered defenses. Missile defense systems like ground-based mid-course defense attempt to intercept incoming warheads. But their success rate is limited. They're not designed to stop a massive nuclear strike. They're designed to reduce damage, not prevent it. Even if the president survives the blast, there's another threat, an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP. High-altitude nuclear detonations can fry electronics across entire continents. No power, no communications, no internet. Which means even survival isn't enough. The president must remain connected. And that's why all critical systems, planes, bunkers, command centers, are hardened against EMP. Because losing communication means losing control. Let's shift perspective. What happens after the initial strike? Where does the president go? One possible destination is the Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center, a hidden underground complex designed to house government leadership during nuclear war. Self-sufficient, secure, unknown to most of the public. But here's the catch. Even this bunker isn't meant to last forever. It's a bridge, not a solution. This is where things get strategic. Because survival isn't just about the president, it's about the system. Plans exist to ensure that even if Washington is destroyed, the United States still functions. Backup leaders, distributed command centers, mobile military authority. Because the goal isn't just survival, it's continuity. Here's something most people don't realize. The missile submarines, like those carrying Trident II D5s, remain hidden in the oceans at all times. Undetectable, unreachable. Even if the entire country is hit, they survive. And that guarantees one thing: retaliation is always possible. Let's pause again. You might think that the goal is to keep the president alive at all costs, but that's not entirely true. The real goal is this: maintain the ability to command the United States. If the president survives but cannot communicate, cannot issue orders, cannot control forces, then strategically, it's the same as losing him. Adversaries know all of this, which is why they may attempt a decapitation strike, targeting leadership directly. Weapons like hypersonic glide vehicles, again like Avangard, are specifically designed to reduce reaction time and hit high-value targets fast. That's why mobility is everything. The president is constantly moving, constantly shielded, constantly prepared. Here's something rarely discussed. Surviving nuclear war isn't just physical, it's psychological. Imagine making decisions while knowing millions may already be gone. Imagine commanding a nation that may no longer fully exist. The president isn't just protected from missiles, he's expected to function under unimaginable pressure. If the president survives the first strike, that's only the beginning. Now comes fallout, infrastructure collapse, global instability, and possible second strikes. Everything you've just heard is designed to ensure one thing: nuclear war never happens. Because the entire system, missiles, submarines, bunkers, aircraft, is built on deterrence. The idea that no matter what happens, the United States will respond. And that makes the cost too high for anyone to try. The president can survive. The system can endure. Command can continue. But the question isn't just whether the president lives, it's this: what kind of world would still exist if he does? At first, it feels like nothing. No heat touches your skin. No sound breaks the silence. The city around you stands perfectly still, like it was paused mid-life. Dust rises under your boots, barely noticeable. The wind carries it away. And then, the device in your hand begins to react. A soft click, then another. Then a rapid, chaotic crackling that fills the silence. Because what surrounds you is not destruction in the way we understand it. It's something far worse. it's contamination that doesn't end. And these places, real places still existing today, are not just reminders of past disasters. They are fragments of a future that could still happen. When people think about nuclear events, they imagine the moment of impact, the blinding flash, the shockwave tearing through buildings, the mushroom cloud rising into the sky. But all of that is over in seconds. Radiation is what remains. And radiation doesn't behave like anything else we know. It doesn't burn like fire or move like water. It embeds itself into the world, into the ground, into the air, into living tissue. The real danger begins after everything looks calm again. Some radioactive elements decay quickly, disappearing within days or weeks. But others, like cesium-137 or strontium-90, remain active for decades, slowly poisoning ecosystems. And then there are elements like plutonium, which can persist for tens of thousands of years, effectively outliving entire civilizations. What makes this even more dangerous is how radiation interacts with the human body. It doesn't need to kill instantly. It only needs to break things at the smallest level. Inside your body, radiation damages DNA. Cells begin to malfunction. Some die, others mutate. Over time, organs fail, cancers develop, and systems that once worked perfectly begin to collapse. When Reactor 4 exploded at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, it didn't just release energy. It released the core of a nuclear reactor directly into the environment. Inside the destroyed structure, nuclear fuel melted together with concrete and metal, forming a substance known as corium. One of these masses, later called the elephant's foot, was so radioactive that standing near it for minutes would have been fatal when it first formed. But the real transformation happened outside. Radioactive particles were carried into the atmosphere and then settled unevenly across the surrounding region. This created a patchwork of contamination, where one area could be relatively safe, while another, just meters away, remained dangerously radioactive. The forest nearby absorbed an enormous dose of radiation almost instantly. Trees turned reddish-brown and died, giving rise to what is now known as the Red Forest. Even today, disturbing that soil can release radioactive dust back into the air, effectively reactivating contamination decades later. This is one of the most important lessons Chernobyl teaches. Radiation doesn't simply fade away, it cycles. Wind lifts particles, rain pushes them deeper, fires can redistribute them again. The environment itself becomes a storage system for contamination. And yet life returned. Animals moved back into the zone. Wolves roam freely. Birds nest in abandoned structures. From a distance, it looks like nature has reclaimed the land. But closer studies reveal something different. Higher mutation rates, reduced lifespans, subtle biological damage that doesn't stop the ecosystem, but reshapes it. Chernobyl isn't healed. It's adapted to being damaged. At the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, the disaster unfolded without a massive explosion tearing material into the sky. Instead, it moved quietly downward and outward. When the reactors overheated, nuclear fuel melted and formed corium, similar to Chernobyl. But in this case, the material interacted with groundwater. Water flowed through the site, became contaminated, and had to be captured and stored. Thousands of tanks now hold treated radioactive water, each one a temporary solution to a longer-term problem. But water doesn't stay still. Some contamination reached the ocean, where it entered a completely different system. Unlike land, where contamination can remain localized, the ocean distributes it through currents that span entire continents. This doesn't mean the ocean became instantly deadly. It means the contamination spreads, dilutes, and integrates. Small organisms absorb radioactive particles. Larger organisms eat them. The process continues upward through the food chain, concentrating radiation at each level. Eventually, it reaches humans. Fukushima revealed something critical. Radiation doesn't just destroy environments, it becomes part of them. At Bikini Atoll, Nuclear detonations didn't just destroy structures, they transformed an entire ecosystem. One of the most powerful tests, Castle Bravo, released far more energy than expected. Fallout spread across nearby islands, contaminating soil and vegetation. Over time, something unexpected became clear. The danger wasn't just in the air or on the surface, it was in the food. Plants absorbed radioactive particles from the soil. Coconuts, a primary food source, became contaminated. People returning years later were exposed not through direct radiation, but through daily consumption of local resources. This is one of the most dangerous aspects of radiation. It hides inside normal life. You eat, you drink, you live, and slowly it accumulates. Even today, parts of Bikini Atoll remain unsafe for long-term habitation, not because they look destroyed, but because they are fundamentally changed. Each of these places represents a different aspect of radiation. Chernobyl shows how land becomes contaminated and remains unpredictable. Fukushima shows how radiation moves through water and spreads across ecosystems. Bikini Atoll shows how ecosystems integrate contamination into daily life. Now, imagine all of this happening at once. In a nuclear war, multiple detonations would inject massive amounts of radioactive material into the atmosphere. Fallout would spread across continents. Water systems would carry contamination further. Agricultural land would become unreliable or unstable. Even regions far from direct strikes would face consequences. Food chains would break down. Clean water would become scarce. The global system that supports modern life would begin to collapse, not instantly, but progressively. And this is where the real danger lies, not in the moment of destruction, but in what follows. These places already exist. You can stand in them today. You can walk through abandoned streets in Pripyat. You can measure radiation levels in the soil. You can see nature growing over structures that were never meant to be left behind. They're not theoretical. They're evidence. Each one is a fragment of a larger picture. And when combined, they show something deeply unsettling. Nuclear events don't just destroy cities. They create conditions where rebuilding may not be possible. Not because everything is gone, but because everything that remains is no longer safe.
J. Robert Oppenheimer once famously said, "Now I am death, destroyer of worlds," and he was right. But why? It's because he led a group of the world's top scientists during World War II to create the first atomic bomb. The power of this bomb was like nothing humankind had ever seen before. When these bombs were unleashed on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it demonstrated the world-crushing capabilities of the weapon. But how does an atomic bomb actually work? The bomb's origins are actually rooted in Einstein's famous equation, E = mc². This stated that energy is equivalent to mass times the speed of light squared.
Watch the FIFA World Cup live on Fox and FS1, June 11th through July 19th. Sign up now.
Cause devastation. The problem that the Manhattan Project had when developing the atomic bomb is that they needed a certain kind of uranium. Most uranium is the kind with isotope 238. In fact, around 99% of the world's uranium has this property. The issue with this is that it's not as volatile as its very rare cousin, uranium-235. Oppenheimer's team needed to be creative and manipulate the uranium they had to separate the material they needed for a massive reaction from uranium ore. The team used several methods to achieve this result, known as uranium enrichment, which included centrifuges, gaseous diffusion, thermal diffusion, and electromagnetic separation. But how did the bombs actually detonate? Although many tests of nuclear bombs have been conducted, there's only ever been 2 A-bombs set off on an enemy. These were the 2 that were dropped by the US on Japan to end the Second World War. Although the 2 bombs had similar reactions that we've already explored, their method of detonation was very different. The first bomb was called Little Boy. This was the one dropped on Hiroshima that was responsible for at least 70,000 deaths. The bomb had 2 separate pieces of uranium, neither of which was big enough to achieve critical mass. These pieces were kept apart until the very last minute. When the bomb was ready to be exploded, these pieces were smashed together using a mechanism similar to a gun. One piece of uranium was shot down a smoothbore gun barrel and smashed into the other piece. The impact got the critical mass needed and generated the first nuclear explosion in warfare. Fat Man was the bomb detonated over Nagasaki. This used the less reactive plutonium-239. The gun method was deemed not strong enough to achieve the blast required. Fission would have started too early, and the reaction would have been too slow for the bomb to reach a critical mass. The solution to this was a hollow sphere of subcritical plutonium found in the belly of the bomb. This was surrounded by conventional explosives. When this was set off, it created a huge implosion which increased the density of the plutonium when everything was smashed together. This allowed it to create a supercritical state. It's now easy to see how Oppenheimer described himself as a destroyer of worlds. The energy created by the 2 A-bombs at the end of the war was like nothing the planet had ever seen before. And it was all created by manipulating the most volatile materials that the scientist and his team could get their hands on.
You're scrolling your phone, sipping coffee, maybe sitting in traffic. Then everything stops. The lights die. Your car stalls. Planes drop from the sky. Somewhere far off, a mushroom cloud blooms on the horizon. You think, this can't be real. But it is. In 2025, nuclear war isn't a Cold War ghost. It's a real modern threat. Faster missiles, smarter warheads, fragile diplomacy, and just one mistake away from the end of civilization. This is what happens when that mistake is made. It doesn't begin with nukes. It begins with a spark. Tensions boil over. A Chinese blockade of Taiwan. Russian troops cross into the Baltics. North Korea launches a missile that strays into Japanese territory. Panic, confusion, scrambled communication. And then a false radar warning. Or maybe it's real. Military leaders have to decide, launch now or risk losing everything. The US initiates launch on warning. The US nuclear triad activates. 400 Minuteman III ICBMs erupt from hardened silos across the Midwest. Each can carry up to 3 warheads, though most are armed with a single W-87 or W-78 warhead. 14 Ohio-class submarines, each capable of launching 20 Trident II D5 SLBMs, release their payloads from underwater bastions in the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. These missiles can carry up to 14 independently targetable warheads. B-2 stealth bombers and B-52 Stratofortresses take off from bases like Whiteman Air Force Base and Barksdale Air Force Base. They carry a mix of gravity bombs, B-61, B-83, and air-launched cruise missiles, AGM-86Bs. Targets include Russian and Chinese missile silos, radar sites, mobile ICBM launch zones, submarine pens, and command bunkers. The logic? Eliminate their ability to strike back. But it's already too late. In response, Russia unleashes its full arsenal. RS-28 Sarmat, or Satan II ICBMs, launched from silos across Siberia. Each missile carries up to 15 MIRVs with yields of 750 kilotons to 1 megaton. Bore-class submarines, each with 16 Bulava SLBMs, fire from patrol zones in the Arctic and Pacific. Avangard hypersonic glide vehicles, capable of Mach 20 speeds and maneuvering flight paths, descend on U.S. missile defense bunkers and continuity of government sites. Air-launched cruise missiles like the KH-102 and ship-based Calibers swarm toward NATO capitals. Russia activates its perimeter system, a last resort automated retaliatory network. Even if Moscow is obliterated, the remaining nuclear forces will launch. China, hit by American warheads, retaliates. DF-41 ICBMs, with range over 12,000 kilometers and up to 10 MIRVs each, launch from deep inland silos and mobile launchers. JL-3 SLBMs streak from Type 094A and newer Type 096 submarines hidden in the Western Pacific. DF-17 and DF-27 hypersonic missiles target Guam, Hawaii, and carrier strike groups. Chinese targets include U.S. bases in the Pacific, Andersen Air Force Base and Yokosuka Naval Base, missile fields in Montana and North Dakota, and tech hubs like Silicon Valley. The conflict spreads like wildfire. India and Pakistan exchange tactical nukes. Delhi, Islamabad, Lahore, and Mumbai vanish in flames. North Korea fires Hwasong-17S and KN-23 short-range missiles towards Seoul, Tokyo, and possibly California. Some reach targets, others are intercepted. Israel, under threat from Iranian missiles and Hezbollah attacks, launches Jericho-3 missiles and Popeye turbo cruise missiles from Dolphin-class submarines. Cities from Tehran to Tel Aviv, Seoul to Karachi are incinerated. The first warheads strike. Washington, D.C. is turned into a crater. The White House, Pentagon, gone. Moscow is obliterated. Berlin, London, Paris, reduced to fire and ash. New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, erased from the map. Hundreds of thousands die instantly. Millions more burn, suffocate, or are crushed in collapsing buildings. 44 ground-based interceptors at Fort Greely and Vandenberg Air Force Base target incoming ICBMs. THAAD and Aegis systems fire in defense of NATO and East Asian allies. Patriot batteries surround critical command centers and air bases. They stop some, but it's a numbers game. Hypersonics slip through. MIRVs release decoys. 1,500 plus warheads still get through, many with 500 to 800 kiloton yields. Entire cities become furnaces. Temperatures reach 1,500 degrees Celsius. Firestorms create hurricane-force winds, pulling oxygen from the air. Skyscrapers become torches. Entire neighborhoods vanish. Clouds of radioactive dust rise into the atmosphere. Fallout spreads via the jet stream. The American Midwest is blanketed in ash. Central Europe glows with residual radiation. East Asia's breadbasket turns toxic. Even untouched nations face agricultural and health disasters. In 60 minutes, over 2,000 nuclear weapons have detonated. Between 1 and 2 billion people are dead or dying. 90% of global industry is destroyed. Major governments no longer function. Medical systems are obliterated. The internet is gone. Power grids are shattered. The survivors? Trapped in bunkers, subway tunnels, or mountain caves. Battling radiation sickness, starvation, and psychological trauma. Waiting, not for rescue, but for the slow death that follows. Nuclear war is not just possible. It's one chain reaction away. One error, one miscalculation is all it takes. If nuclear war begins, There is no winner, only ash, silence, and regret. The clock is ticking. If nuclear war started tonight, most Americans already believe they know where the danger is. New York, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C. Those cities would almost certainly be destroyed within minutes. But here's the terrifying truth most people never realize. Some of the first nuclear explosions wouldn't happen in cities at all. They would happen in places that look quiet, empty, even peaceful. Wide farmland, remote plains, small towns few people have ever heard of. Because nuclear war isn't just about
The tabs you open here are also here. Choose Chrome to share
your cities. In fact, several states that feel safe today would actually be among the first places hit in a nuclear war. Meanwhile, a handful of states might quietly sit near the bottom of every nuclear target list. Not completely safe, but far less likely to experience a direct nuclear strike. To understand which states might survive, we need to understand how nuclear targets are chosen. Military planners don't just randomly pick cities. They follow a very specific strategy. And the first targets are almost always the same: nuclear weapons. The most important targets in nuclear war are the weapons themselves: intercontinental ballistic missile silos, strategic bomber bases, submarine ports. These systems allow a country to launch nuclear retaliation, which means destroying them quickly becomes the top priority. And this is why states like Montana, North Dakota, and Wyoming would likely experience dozens of nuclear detonations within the first hour of war. Because these states contain hundreds of underground missile silos. Each silo could receive its own nuclear warhead. Not because anyone wants to destroy Montana, but because destroying those missiles could prevent retaliation. The second type of target is leadership. Countries attempt to destroy command and control infrastructure, places that coordinate military response, facilities like the Pentagon, NORAD command centers, strategic communication hubs, which makes locations like Washington, D.C. and Colorado Springs extremely high-priority targets. Only after those targets come large population centers. Cities represent economic power, industry, and transportation networks. Destroying them creates chaos and cripples the country's ability to recover. Which means places like New York, Chicago, Houston, and Los Angeles would almost certainly be attacked. Once you remove all those high-priority targets from the map, something interesting happens. A few states remain that simply aren't very valuable nuclear targets, and that dramatically reduces the chance they would be struck. Maine sits quietly in the far northeast corner of the United States. Forests, small towns, rocky coastline. For most of its history, it has remained one of the most peaceful states in the country. And strangely enough, that may work in its favor during nuclear war. Maine has very little strategic military infrastructure. No nuclear missile fields, no major bomber bases, no massive military command centers. And its population is relatively small compared to other states along the East Coast, which means nuclear planners would likely focus their warheads elsewhere. But Maine isn't completely safe, because just a few hundred miles south sits one of the largest population corridors in the world, the Northeast megalopolis: Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Washington. If several of those cities were destroyed, radioactive fallout could drift north depending on wind patterns. So Maine might avoid the initial explosions, but the aftermath could still be dangerous. Just west of Maine sits another state that rarely appears on nuclear target maps: Vermont. It's small, quiet, mostly rural, and in nuclear war planning, that matters. Because the primary purpose of nuclear weapons is to destroy things that affect military power. And Vermont has very few of those, which means attacking Vermont provides very little military advantage. At first glance, Oregon might seem like a risky place to be during a nuclear war. After all, it sits directly on the Pacific Ocean, and the Pacific is home to many U.S. naval forces. But compared to its neighbors, Oregon is relatively quiet. California hosts massive military infrastructure, naval bases, Air Force installations, huge industrial centers. Washington State hosts one of the most critical nuclear submarine bases in the United States, which makes it an extremely valuable target. Oregon, by comparison, sits between these two heavily defended regions, and that reduces its strategic importance. The state has moderate population, limited strategic military targets, large rural regions. This one may surprise you, because South Dakota sits in the middle of the United States.
One sec, y'all. Have
large nuclear missile fields, which dramatically
a follower, the Bab 187. Appreciate the follow. Definitely appreciate the follow, y'all.
Silos scattered across the northern plains. Hundreds of underground launch facilities, each one capable of launching an intercontinental nuclear missile. During a nuclear war, enemy warheads would target these silos in an attempt to destroy them before they launch. But South Dakota contains far fewer of these strategic assets. Its population is small, its industry is limited, and its military infrastructure is relatively modest. When researchers study nuclear targeting maps, one state often appears near the bottom of the list: Idaho. And the reasons are surprisingly simple. Idaho has no massive population centers, no major nuclear missile fields, very limited strategic military infrastructure. Much of the state is mountainous wilderness, or farmland, or small rural communities. From a military perspective, destroying Idaho provides very little strategic advantage, which means nuclear planners would likely allocate their warheads elsewhere. Another factor working in Idaho's favor is geography. The state sits far from many of the largest coastal cities in the United States, which could reduce the impact of radioactive fallout compared to regions along the East Coast or Pacific Coast. For these reasons, Idaho is often considered one of the least likely states to experience a direct nuclear strike. If hundreds of nuclear weapons detonated across major cities and industrial zones, massive firestorms could send smoke into the upper atmosphere, blocking sunlight, lowering global temperatures, and devastating agriculture. Scientists estimate global food production could collapse for years. So, are these states safe? Not exactly. In nuclear war, nowhere on Earth is truly safe. But some places would face far fewer direct nuclear strikes than others. And that difference could determine whether people face immediate destruction or a long and uncertain fight for survival. Because in nuclear war, the most dangerous place isn't always the biggest city. Sometimes, it's the places hiding the most powerful weapons. And the safest places are often the ones the world simply forgets. Imagine a city glowing brighter than the sun for a split second. An invisible shockwave races through the air, flattening everything in its path. A fireball so hot, it vaporizes steel, concrete, and flesh alike. This is not science fiction. It's the brutal reality behind every nuclear explosion ever detonated. The true scale of a nuclear blast is a terrifying force of nature, shaped by physics, but felt deeply by humanity. On August 6, 1945, the uranium gun-type bomb known as Little Boy detonated about 600 meters above Hiroshima. Weighing 4,400 kilograms, stretching 3 meters long and 71 centimeters in diameter, it unleashed a 15-kiloton explosion. The fireball grew to over 280 meters wide in milliseconds, reaching temperatures hotter than the sun's surface, over 5 million degrees Celsius, vaporizing everything beneath it. The resulting shockwave produced overpressures above 20 psi within a 1-kilometer radius, crushing reinforced concrete buildings.
Thermal radiation caused third-degree burns up to 3 kilometers away and ignited fires across the city. Immediate fatalities reached 70,000 to 80,000, with total casualties surpassing 140,000 by year's end. Survivors suffered from the searing heat, deadly radiation sickness, and psychological trauma that lasted decades. The B-61 family is a shape-shifting beast of destruction, offering yields from a tactical 0.3 kilotons to a strategic 340 kilotons. This thermonuclear gravity bomb, roughly 3.5 meters long and weighing 320 kilograms, can be dropped from a variety of aircraft. At maximum yield, the B-61 produces a fireball about 700 meters wide, incinerating all within its core. The blast wave shatters windows 20 kilometers away and flattens buildings within 5 kilometers. Thermal radiation would cause lethal third-degree burns up to 15 kilometers out, setting fires that rage uncontrollably. The B-61's variable yield makes it suitable for different mission profiles, from battlefield strikes to strategic city destruction. Fallout patterns would cause long-lasting contamination, threatening public health and agriculture far beyond the blast zone. The Minuteman III, a solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile weighing 35,000 kilograms and measuring 18 meters long, carries up to 3 warheads, each delivering 300 to 500 kilotons. Capable of striking targets 13,000 kilometers away within 30 minutes, a single 500 kiloton warhead detonating above Vladivostok city center would generate a fireball over 1 kilometer wide, vaporizing everything below. The blast wave would crush buildings within 5 kilometers, producing overpressures exceeding 20 psi. Thermal radiation would cause third-degree burns up to 10 kilometers away, igniting catastrophic fires. Casualties? Over 1 million dead, millions displaced, a city erased in minutes, followed by months of chaos and suffering. From stealthy Ohio-class submarines, the Trident II D5 launches missiles 13.4 meters long, weighing 59,000 kilograms, carrying up to 14 warheads ranging from 100 to 455 kilotons each, capable of striking targets more than 11,000 kilometers away. A 455 kiloton warhead exploding over St. Petersburg would create a fireball 1.2 kilometers wide, instantly vaporizing the center. The blast wave levels structures within 5 kilometers, while thermal radiation causes deadly burns up to 15 kilometers out, igniting massive fires across the city.
The gold is real, but so is the danger. And out here, death comes in lots of flavors. Bear death, wolf death, frostbite death, dysentery death, dynamite death, good old-fashioned bullet death. Ask yourself one question. Is it worth it? Heck yeah. Join us, Pioneer.
Plus, evading missile defenses with its eye maneuverability. Carrying a 2-megaton warhead, it produces a 1.5 kilometer wide fireball and a destructive blast wave exceeding 10 kilometers, with thermal radiation igniting fires 20 kilometers away. Its hypersonic speed and unpredictable flight path leave almost no time for detection or interception. Detonated over New York City, millions could die in seconds, with little to no warning. China's DF-5 liquid-fueled ICBM, standing 33 meters tall and weighing 183 kilograms, can deliver a 5-megaton warhead more than 13,000 kilometers away. A detonation over Tokyo would produce a fireball nearly 2 kilometers wide, vaporizing central wards instantly. The shockwave would demolish buildings within 15 kilometers, while thermal radiation would ignite fires stretching 30 kilometers beyond. Over 5 million would die immediately, with devastation spanning miles. Russia's RS-28 Sarmat is a monstrous 35-meter-tall ICBM, weighing over 200,000 kilograms, capable of carrying up to 10 warheads each, packing 10 to 50 megatons of explosive power. A 50-megaton warhead detonating over Chicago's downtown generates a fireball nearly 6 kilometers wide, instantly vaporizing the city and surrounding suburbs. The shockwave flattens buildings up to 40 kilometers away, with thermal radiation causing fatal burns up to 100 kilometers out, sparking an unstoppable firestorm. The scale of radioactive fallout from such an explosion would contaminate vast areas across multiple states, forcing mass evacuations and rendering land uninhabitable for decades. Fallout particles would enter the atmosphere, potentially triggering global climate effects by injecting soot and radioactive materials high into the stratosphere, a nuclear winter scenario. Immediate deaths would number in the tens of millions, with radioactive fallout poisoning half a continent for years to come. Poseidon is a nuclear-powered underwater drone carrying an estimated 100 megaton warhead, traveling at over 100 kilometers per hour underwater and capable of traveling thousands of kilometers stealthily. A detonation in San Francisco Bay would create a massive underwater shockwave and tsunami, devastating the coastline. Radioactive fallout would poison the Pacific coast for decades, rendering the region uninhabitable. Millions could drown or die from radiation poisoning. This weapon doesn't just destroy cities. It contaminates entire ecosystems and coastal regions for generations, crippling economies and livelihoods. The world balances on a knife's edge. One spark, one miscalculation, or one choice away from nuclear catastrophe. The true scale of nuclear explosions demands we act before the next blast changes everything. Will humanity learn in time, or be consumed by its own destructive power?
Imagine the unimaginable. The world's largest superpower, the United States, comes under a nuclear threat as missiles rain down from the sky. ICBMs, or intercontinental ballistic missiles, hurtle toward American soil, launched from distant lands like Russia or North Korea. It's a nightmare scenario, one that seems too terrifying to entertain. But the reality is, nuclear ICBMs could hit U.S. soil within 30 minutes after launch. The question is, can the U.S. defend itself against this kind of attack? Before we explore the United States defense systems, it's essential to understand the missile threats it's up against. These are no ordinary missiles. They are weapons capable of annihilating cities and altering the course of history. Russia remains one of the U.S.'s most significant nuclear threats, given its extensive arsenal and its position as a major military power. Russia's nuclear doctrine allows for the first use of nuclear weapons, particularly in response to conventional threats or in regional conflicts. Some key Russian nuclear capabilities include the RS-28 Sarmat or Satan II ICBM, a heavy liquid-fueled missile capable of carrying multiple warheads, up to 15 MIRVs. This missile is designed to penetrate missile defense systems and target major U.S. cities or military installations. Range over 18,000 kilometers or 11,200 miles. Payload up to 40 megatons of TNT in a single warhead, with multiple warhead options. R-36M or SS-18 Satan. Known as one of the most powerful ICBMs in the world, the R-36M remains a cornerstone of Russia's nuclear deterrence. Payload 10 MIRVs, each with a thermonuclear warhead. Range 16,000 kilometers or about 10,000 miles. Russia has developed the 3M-22 Zircon, a hypersonic missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. Its speed and maneuverability make it extremely difficult to intercept. Speed, Mach 8 to 9, or around 9,800 to 11,000 kilometers per hour. Range up to 1,000 kilometers, or 620 miles. China's rapid modernization of its nuclear arsenal is aimed at creating a credible deterrent against the U.S. and other powers. China maintains a no-first-use nuclear policy, but its military doctrines have evolved, with increasing emphasis on the potential use of nuclear weapons in a conflict. DF-41 ICBM,
China's most advanced ICBM, capable of carrying multiple nuclear warheads. The DF-41 is a critical part of China's nuclear deterrent, designed to counter US and Russian missile defense systems. Range 12,000 kilometers, or about 7,500 miles. Payload up to 10 MIRVs. The DF-5, also known by its NATO reporting name CSS-4, is a liquid-fueled intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM, developed by China. The DF-5 is capable of reaching over 12,000 kilometers, or 7,500 miles, allowing it to target virtually any location on the globe, including the continental United States. The DF-5 is designed to carry a single nuclear warhead, although it has been rumored that some variants could potentially carry multiple independently targetable reentry vehicles, or MIRVs, allowing for multiple targets to be attacked with a single missile. North Korea. North Korea's nuclear ambitions have become a significant point of tension. While its nuclear arsenal is relatively small compared to Russia or China, its ballistic missile technology and willingness to escalate confrontations make it a potent threat. Hwasong-15 ICBM, North Korea's longest-range missile, capable of reaching the U.S. mainland, particularly the West Coast. Range over 13,000 kilometers, or 8,100 miles. Typically carries a single warhead, but there are indications that North Korea may seek to develop MIRVs. Hwasong-17 ICBM, an even larger missile that has been tested, with a potential range to target U.S. cities across the country. Range up to 15,000 kilometers, or 9,320 miles. Payload, likely capable of carrying multiple warheads. The United States possesses one of the world's most advanced nuclear arsenals, with approximately 5,550 nuclear warheads, both deployed and non-deployed. The B-83 gravity bomb is one of the most potent weapons in the U.S. nuclear inventory, designed to penetrate deep underground facilities. It's a powerful tool for targeting fortified sites that are difficult to destroy with conventional weapons. Yield range, up to 1.2 megatons, making it one of the most powerful weapons in the U.S. arsenal. Delivery platforms, strategic bombers such as the B-2 Spirit and B-52 Stratofortress. Minuteman III ICBMs, or intercontinental ballistic missiles. Deployed in 1970 and continually upgraded for reliability and effectiveness, the Minuteman III ICBM is a key part of the U.S. nuclear triad. Payload can carry up to 3 MIRVs, each with a nuclear warhead. Guidance, advanced inertial navigation system for pinpoint accuracy. Speed reaches up to Mach 23, or about 28,400 kilometers per hour, or about 17,600 miles per hour, enabling rapid global reach. Trident II SLBMs, or submarine-launched ballistic missiles. Known for their precision, stealth, and long range, Trident II SLBMs are deployed from nuclear-powered submarines and form a key part of the U.S. deterrent strategy. Payload can carry up to 12 MIRVs, depending on treaty constraints. Guidance system, stellar inertial navigation, ensuring high accuracy even at extreme ranges. Range approximately 12,000 kilometers, or 7,500 miles. In the event of a nuclear conflict, the safety of the U.S. president is paramount, not just for national leadership, but to maintain continuity of command and ensure that retaliatory actions can be taken if necessary. The U.S. has a comprehensive and well-established protocol in place for protecting the president during a nuclear attack or crisis. One of the key tools for the U.S. president in a nuclear emergency is a nuclear football, a briefcase that contains everything the president needs to authorize a nuclear strike, including authentication codes. The satchel includes classified communication and authentication codes required for verifying the president's identity and transmitting orders for a nuclear strike. Strike options. It also contains predetermined nuclear strike options, providing the president with a range of military responses in the event of a nuclear attack. Secure communication equipment. The football is equipped with communication tools, including satellite phones and encrypted radio systems, ensuring the president can maintain communication with military leaders and other key officials. The football is always with the president, carried by a military aide wherever the president goes. In case of a nuclear attack or other existential threats to
OMG, y'all.
Travelers swear by this one trick.
What's up with Mom?
She's been scrolling travel advice for hours. Now she's got influencer brain.
Wonder what this luggage brand sent me? It's luggage! Vocal fry. Time for a glow up. Hashtag paid partner. Stop scrolling. Keep scrolling. Stop scrolling. You gotta.
and if the president is far from Washington, D.C. In the event of a nuclear strike or national emergency, the continuity of government or COG system ensures that the president, along with other key leaders, can remain in command. The U.S. government maintains underground facilities that can house the president, vice president, and other high-ranking officials in case of a nuclear attack. These facilities, like Raven Rock Mountain Complex and Mount Weather, are designed to withstand nuclear blasts and provide shelter and communication capabilities. Imagine it's the middle of the night at NORAD's headquarters in Colorado Springs. Monitors light up with a sudden burst of activity. ICBMs have been launched from Russian territory. Within seconds, the U.S.'s early warning systems kick into high gear. Satellites detect missile heat signatures, transmitting real-time trajectory data to ground stations. Advanced radars across the U.S. and allied territories calculate impact zones, providing critical minutes for defensive action. With incoming missiles confirmed, the U.S. deploys its multi-layered missile defense systems. Fortunately, the U.S. has invested billions into missile defense systems. But the question remains, will these systems be enough? The first line of defense against an incoming ICBM is the Ground-Based Midcourse Defense System, or GMD. GMD is designed to intercept nuclear warheads during their mid-course phase, which is the time when they are traveling through space, just before re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. During this phase, missile defense systems can target warheads as they are in a predictable trajectory. The ground-based interceptors, or GBI, are launched from silos in places like Alaska and California to intercept and destroy ICBMs in space. These interceptors travel at high speeds, relying on kinetic energy to destroy the incoming missile. GMD uses a combination of radar systems, such as the sea-based X-band radar, and satellite tracking to pinpoint the exact location of the missile in space. However, GMD has limitations. Its success rate is somewhat contested. The system is designed to intercept missiles during a time when they are still on a predictable flight path, but advanced countermeasures like decoys, MIRVs, and decoy warheads can overwhelm the system. The U.S. has only 44 GBIs currently in operation, which limits the number of missiles that can be intercepted at once. While GMD handles missile defense in space, Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense, or BMD, operates in the terminal phase of a missile's flight, when it's re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. Aegis uses Standard Missile 3, or SM-3 interceptors launched from Navy destroyers and cruisers. These interceptors are designed to intercept missiles up to 100 kilometers in altitude, well above commercial airliners, but lower than ICBM re-entry speeds. The Aegis system excels at handling short to medium-range ballistic missiles, but can also play a role in intercepting ICBMs. While Aegis isn't the primary line of defense for ICBM strikes, it adds an extra layer of protection, especially for regional missile threats. As the missile gets closer to its target, the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD system, comes into play. THAAD is designed to intercept missiles in the terminal phase, just before they strike their target. The system uses hit-to-kill technology, meaning it destroys the incoming missiles by physically colliding with it at speeds greater than Mach 8. In other words, the intercepting missile hits the target with such force that it effectively destroys the warhead. THAAD is deployed in many places around the world and has a range of up to 200 kilometers. This gives it the capability to protect against regional missile threats, including North Korean ICBMs. However, against a full-scale Russian nuclear attack, THAAD may only be able to intercept a limited number of missiles. In the event of a missile strike on the U.S., it's important to consider what the enemy targets. The goal of a nuclear ICBM strike isn't just destruction. It's to cripple the U.S. and severely limit its ability to retaliate. The first targets of a nuclear strike would undoubtedly be the most populated cities, New York, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and other strategic locations. Destroying these urban centers would have a devastating psychological impact, while also crippling the economic and political heart of the nation. Widespread civilian casualties and chaos would ensure a swift collapse of national morale. Adversaries would also target military bases, particularly those housing nuclear weapons, ICBM silos, and missile defense systems. Crippling U.S. military capabilities would make it impossible for the U.S. to retaliate or defend itself. Key bases such as Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota, and Vandenberg Air Force Base, California, would be the top of the target list.
Fukushima showed.
Finally, the enemy would strike at critical infrastructure, energy grids, transportation networks, and communication hubs. The goal here would be to paralyze the country, making it harder for the U.S. to organize a defense or recovery. Despite these defenses, no system is foolproof. Some missiles evade interception, striking key cities like Washington, D.C. and New York. As the first impacts occur, the U.S. initiates a measured but devastating counterstrike to neutralize Russia's nuclear capabilities. The U.S.'s survivable nuclear arsenal ensures that, even after a first strike, it can respond decisively. An Ohio-class submarine in the Arctic launches Trident II D5 missiles. Each missile splits into multiple warheads or MIRVs, targeting Russian missile silos, naval bases, and airfields. Minuteman III missiles roar out of silos across the Midwest, targeting Russian Strategic Rocket Forces facilities like the Kozulsk missile field. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers penetrate Russian air defenses, delivering B-83 thermonuclear bombs to command centers and missile launch facilities. The U.S. employs a flexible response doctrine, enabling a proportional and targeted reaction. Number 1. Limited counterforce strike. Neutralize key Russian missile sites, such as the Votkinsk plant, or mobile Topol-M ICBMs, while avoiding population centers. Number 2. Regional tactical strike. A low-yield W-76-2 warhead launched from a Trident missile targets a military base in Kaliningrad, deterring further aggression. Number 3. Full-scale counterforce strike. A comprehensive attack disables Russia's nuclear infrastructure, including command bunkers like the Kozvinsky Mountain Complex and submarine bases at Gadjevo. In the event of a nuclear attack, the U.S. would retaliate with devastating force through the doctrine of mutually assured destruction, or MAD. This means that even if a portion of the U.S. is destroyed, the enemy would face total annihilation in return. The U.S. arsenal of ICBMs, submarine-launched ballistic missiles or SLBMs, and nuclear-capable bombers would ensure that no adversary could survive an all-out nuclear war. Missile defense systems can intercept some missiles, but they can never guarantee 100% protection. The real deterrence lies in the U.S. retaliatory capability, which is designed to deliver devastating punishment to any nation that dares to launch a nuclear strike. As technology evolves, the cat-and-mouse game of missile defense and attack will continue. The U.S. must remain vigilant and invest in next-generation systems that can counter advanced threats like Russia's Satan II and North Korea's Hwasong-17. While defense systems can certainly intercept many missiles, the only surefire way to guarantee national survival is through a credible deterrent strategy, ensuring that any nation thinking of launching a nuclear attack on the U.S. will face an inevitable and catastrophic retaliation. The B-83 nuclear bomb stands as one of the most formidable weapons in the United States strategic arsenal, epitomizing the destructive potential of modern warfare. Designed during the height of the Cold War, it remains a crucial element of the U.S. deterrent strategy. Weighing an imposing 2,400 pounds or 1,100 kilograms and measuring 12 feet or 3.7 meters in length with an 18-inch or 46-centimeter diameter, its sheer size is comparable to a compact car. The B-83 is specifically engineered for strategic strikes against hardened targets, including deeply buried underground bunkers. This capability makes it essential for neutralizing enemy command centers and critical infrastructure. Its explosive yield of 1.2 megatons of TNT, or 1,200 kilotons, is sufficient to annihilate entire cities. To provide perspective, it is 80 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. The exact number of B-83 bombs in the U.S. arsenal is not publicly disclosed, as this is classified information. However, estimates based on public reports and declassified materials suggest that the U.S. has around 650 B-83 bombs in its stockpile. This bomb is typically delivered by advanced U.S. aircraft, including the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber and the B-52 Stratofortress, ensuring it can penetrate heavily defended airspace. Upon deployment, the B-83 uses a parachute-assisted delivery system, slowing its descent to optimize detonation at a precise altitude or underground depth, depending on the mission's objectives. If detonated as an airburst over a major metropolitan area like Beijing, the destruction would be apocalyptic. The fireball alone would cover 4 square kilometers or 1.5 square miles, vaporizing everything in its radius. The shockwave would level structures up to 7.5 kilometers or 4.6 miles away, while thermal radiation would cause third-degree burns to individuals within a 13-kilometer or 8-mile radius. The human toll is staggering, an estimated 1.5 million fatalities, with an additional 3 million injured. Minuteman III. The Minuteman III Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, or ICBM, is a cornerstone of the U.S. nuclear triad, offering a dependable and highly accurate land-based nuclear deterrent. Standing 59 feet or 18 meters tall and weighing 36,030 kilograms or 79,432 pounds, this missile is an engineering marvel designed for rapid deployment and devastating precision. The Minuteman III is capable of carrying up to 3.
Welcome to the new generation of web creation, where you're
300 to 475 kilotons. Its range of 13,000 kilometers or 8,100 miles enables it to strike virtually any target on Earth. Launched from hardened underground silos located across the U.S., the Minuteman III is designed to survive a first strike and deliver a rapid counterattack. As of recent reports, the United States has approximately 400 active Minuteman III ICBMs in its arsenal. Imagine a scenario where a single Minuteman III ICBM targets Shanghai, a sprawling metropolis with a population exceeding 24 million. Equipped with a 475 kiloton warhead, the missile's impact would cause catastrophic damage. The fireball would engulf an area of approximately 5 square kilometers, or 1.9 square miles, vaporizing everything in its immediate vicinity, including dense urban infrastructure and high-rise buildings. The blast wave would extend up to 6 kilometers, or 3.7 miles, toppling structures and causing widespread destruction to the city's central districts. Thermal radiation would result in third-degree burns up to a radius of 10 kilometers, or 6.2 miles, inflicting severe injuries on millions. In this hypothetical attack, fatalities could exceed 1.2 million, with an additional 2.5 million people injured. Trident II missile, the submarine-launched powerhouse. Operating beneath the ocean's depths, the Trident II D5 missile serves as the backbone of US and UK nuclear deterrent strategies, ensuring a survivable second strike capability. This ICBM is a feat of engineering, measuring 44 feet or 13.5 meters in length and weighing 59,000 kilograms or 130,000 pounds. Its range of over 12,000 kilometers or 7,500 miles allows it to strike targets across continents with pinpoint accuracy. The Trident II's defining feature is its ability to carry multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles or MIRVs. Each missile can be equipped with up to 8 W-88 warheads, each delivering a 475 kiloton yield. This means a single missile can obliterate multiple cities or critical military installations in one strike. Deployed aboard Ohio-class submarines, each vessel carries up to 20 Trident II missiles, collectively capable of deploying 2,240 warheads, making it one of the most formidable assets in modern warfare. Ohio-class submarine stealth capabilities and endurance ensure these missiles remain a persistent threat. Operating silently for months at a time, these vessels are nearly impossible to detect, ensuring the Trident II system's viability even in a first strike scenario. There are roughly 336 Trident II D5 missiles deployed in the U.S. arsenal across these submarines. Consider a scenario where a single Trident II D5 missile, armed with its maximum payload of 8 W-88 warheads, targets a region like Tokyo, one of the world's largest metropolitan areas, with a population of over 37 million. Each warhead has a yield of 475 kilotons, allowing for precision strikes on multiple key locations within the region. If all 8 warheads were deployed over Tokyo and its surrounding areas, the fireball from each warhead would cover approximately 3.5 square kilometers, or 1.3 square miles, incinerating densely populated zones. The blast wave from each detonation would destroy buildings up to 5.5 kilometers, or 3.4 miles away, creating a cascading effect of structural collapses across the city. Thermal radiation would cause severe burns and fires within an 8-kilometer or 5-mile radius for each warhead. In total, this multi-target strike could devastate 28 square kilometers or 10.8 square miles per warhead, with overlapping areas amplifying destruction across Tokyo. Casualties could reach 3 million fatalities and 5 million injuries, with infrastructure decimated and chaos spreading throughout the country. China's DF-5 ICBM, a strategic colossus. The Dongfeng 5 or DF-5 intercontinental ballistic missile is a cornerstone of China's nuclear arsenal. Towering at over 106 feet or 32.5 meters and weighing a massive 183 tons, it is among the largest land-based ICBMs ever constructed. Its range of 15,000 kilometers or 9,300 miles places virtually the entire globe within its reach, enabling strikes on targets across the United States, Europe, and Asia. Capable of carrying up to 12 MIRVs, each with a 1 megaton yield, the DF-5 can unleash unparalleled destruction. China is believed to have approximately 20 to 30 DF-5 ICBMs in its arsenal. In a hypothetical scenario where a DF-5 targets Washington, D.C., the combined power of its 12 megaton payload would cause a disaster of unprecedented magnitude. The fireball would obliterate the city center, while the blast wave would extend destruction over a 35-kilometer or 22-mile radius. Casualty estimates surpass 1.5 million fatalities, with millions more injured and displaced. Russia's next-generation ICBM, the RS-28 Sarmat, also known as Satan II, represents a quantum leap in nuclear weaponry. This 3-stage liquid-fueled missile weighs an astonishing 208 tons and can deliver 10 heavy MIRVs or 15 lighter warheads, all independently targetable. Boasting a range exceeding 18,000 kilometers or 11,000 miles, the RS-28 can reach any target on Earth, employing polar trajectories to bypass traditional missile defense systems. Its use of the Fractional Orbital Bombardment System, or FOBS, allows it to briefly enter orbit before re-entering the atmosphere, further complicating interception. As of recent reports, Russia has begun deploying the RS-28 Sarmat in small numbers, with estimates indicating around 10 to 20 RS-28 Sarmat missiles in service or planned for deployment in the next few years. Reports suggest the RS-28 could carry a 50 megaton payload, rivaling the infamous Tsar Bomba, the most powerful nuclear device ever detonated. If a Sarmat were to target New York City with such a payload, the devastation would be incomprehensible. The fireball would span 83 square kilometers or 32 square miles, while thermal radiation would inflict third-degree burns within a 60-kilometer or 37-mile radius. Fatalities could exceed 7 million, with millions more displaced and injured. In total, if multiple weapons from these systems were deployed across different regions in a nuclear conflict, global fatalities could easily exceed 100 million. The devastating aftermath would not only be measured in immediate loss of life, but in long-term environmental destruction, climate disruption, and economic collapse, and the breakdown of social and political systems worldwide. The use of nuclear weapons would result in no true winners, only untold suffering, irreversible damage, and a legacy of despair. The reality of nuclear war is that it threatens the very survival of human civilization, making the global effort for disarmament and strategic deterrence critical to preserving peace. The devastating potential of these weapons underscores the necessity of diplomatic solutions and the need for continued dialogue to ensure that such catastrophic scenarios remain nothing more than grim, hypothetical examples, rather than a terrible reality.
I hope y'all like today's show. That was just to top the morning off. For y'all, just a little bit of a perspective on how powerful nuclear weapons really are. It's insane, and we can't let them ever use them. That's for sure. I'm sure they're probably going to end up using one in Ukraine. I hope not, but if it does, then we'll have to deal with it. But until then, let's pray that they don't. But I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We are getting a lot more views now. We are getting a lot more people starting to subscribe. A lot more people are starting to follow and starting to get more active in the chat. I'm loving it. Let's keep it up. Let's keep getting pushed out, and let's keep on getting shared. Keep sharing the videos. The more y'all share the videos, the more we're getting pushed out, man. I love it. I love all y'all subscribers. Love all the followers. Much love to all y'all. We will be having giveaways here coming soon. We should be hitting our goals here soon, the way we keep on moving. So if we do, then amazing. Let's keep on trucking so we can actually get our goals, so we can do these drawings for y'all and get y'all these free gifts. We have Xbox controllers, headsets, PCs up for grab. So don't miss it. Go ahead and smash that notify button. Get notified whenever we actually come on air. We do news on the East Coast from 4:30 in the afternoon to whenever we get done, and then if we don't have breaking news in the afternoon, then we definitely come on at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time every night. So we actually have live call-ins, shout-outs, everything on this channel. So let's try to get this channel pushed out so we can actually get out there, y'all, so we can actually do live shout-outs for all your loved ones and everything. Let's get this done. I'm so excited about this. For real. You have no idea. I can't wait to do the drawing so everybody get their numbers so we can actually start sending y'all stuff to y'all. Shipping's paid for us, shipping is paid from us, so y'all don't have to worry about no shipping, handling, or nothing like that. It's all free. This is free stuff, dog. You can't turn down free stuff, right? I'm just saying, and it literally don't cost you nothing, because to subscribe or follow on my channels is free. There is no paid to play, as to say. But other than that, much love to all y'all. Much love to the people that's actually dropped in and actually dropped chats. I really appreciate it. And we will see y'all. If we are not on air at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time today, that means that we don't have really that much breaking news that we have to throw in another show for. But if we do have breaking news, we'll be back to let y'all know. No pun intended. But no, we will be back on to let y'all know about what's going on. We are looking forward to actually having this cookout that's coming up for the community. I mean, it ain't a free cookout, let me just say that. But if you are a member of the channel and you come to the cookout and you show proof that you are a member of this channel, you will get a discount. So we will have chicken, pulled pork, and other stuff up for grabs to eat and snack on while we sit and actually get to know each other as a community. And I don't just mean like as a community out in public. I mean as us as a community, as a channel too, as well. But this is actually going to give us, you know, a good footing to actually get to know our crowd and our audience, should I say. But much love to all y'all. Really appreciate all y'all stopping in. That is all